Good evening. I'd like to call to order the February 9th, 2026 Lower Makefield Township Planning Commission meeting. Absent this evening is Adrian Costello, and we have one vacancy still on the board. John, is there anybody coming anytime soon?
I'm not sure. I don't think there's an interview for the next meeting, which would be a great time if anybody out there who's watching live or is thinking, hey, the Planning Commission's where I would like to be. And you can easily place your name in for consideration by emailing admin@lmt.org. Just send in your name, your interest in being a member of the Planning Commission, and your resume. And from there, what happens is you get interviewed by the board at an upcoming meeting, and in most cases, you're appointed. And as I look out over the audience, I see some folks that could certainly fill that role if they were interested and they lived in Lower Makefield. And so I would welcome anyone to apply.
I'll second that, Board Supervisor John Lewis. This is a great job, so anybody who wants to do it, it's definitely it's good to partake in your township and have a voice in your township. So I'll second that.
Thank you for both of your sales pitches. First item on our agenda is the approval of our January 12th meeting minutes. Does someone want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes from January 12th, 2026.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. And the minutes, were just for clarity, that we're voting on are the ones as already amended.
There was just one.
Oh.
The other one was not, I misunderstood the other one. So
Okay.
there was just that one,
Yeah,
minor one.
I believe Janelle already made the changes too, so.
Okay.
Yep.
So that being the case, I'll call a question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And the motion passes 3-0. Next item is 1566 lot line change.
Hi, good evening.
Hello, if you could identify yourselves.
My name is John McShay. I'm from the law firm Eastburn and Gray here on behalf of the applicant. And to my left is Jerry Katzoff.
John, do you want to slide down both microphones just so? And then just make sure the green light's on. Thank you.
Looks like we're okay.
Okay.
So the plan, which is before you, is a lot line change, and it's related to it's related to the final major subdivision and land development, which was approved by the Board of Supervisors in October of 2023. And if we go back to that plan, what we're talking about is the shaded pink area there down to by the corner of Mr. Katzoff's property, and that's being conveyed to the adjacent lot, which is 1556 LLC's lot, and that's part of the approved 6-lot subdivision and development. In that location that's being conveyed is where the access
Excuse
way-
me, could you just give, so people at home or anyone else, just give an idea of the major roadways around, like what part of the township we're talking about?
Mr. Katzoff can jump in there.
So the road that leads into the property is Buck Creek Drive. My house sits on Yardley, Newtown Road, which is the bottom of that screen right there. So our house is to the right of that picture, and the development piece is to the left.
And Creamery Road is on there also, right, correct?
Creamery Road is the road on the far left, which we own the house there, which will be part of the 6-house development. Correct.
Thank you.
This lot line change was contemplated as part of the approved land development plan. And as I pointed out, what it does is that land is being conveyed to 1556's lot is where the access way to Buck Creek Lane is. And so, or Buck Creek Drive rather. And so we're looking to do this lot line to accomplish that part of the development. We did receive a review letter from the township engineer this morning. The comments will comply, although I'd point out all the information that's asked for, requested in that letter is provided in and is included in the approved land development plan. And so in talking with Jim this morning, he suggested we request a waiver from those conditions as they are part of and already provided on the recorded land development plan.
So it's effectively a will comply, but it's just, it's semantics.
That's correct, yeah.
Could you point out on the map, because I was having a little hard time following you, where you're talking about on that depiction up there?
Is this working? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So the area we're talking about is right here in this shaded pink area. It's currently part of Mr. Katzoff's lot. And as you can see kind of towards the top of the plan, that's the road. And so this section is going to be conveyed over to 1556, and this is where the 6-lot subdivision and development takes place on this tract. Sorry about that.
So the 6 lots, where do they have access? Which road do they have access to?
Out here to Buck Creek.
Okay.
And Jerry, do they also have access?
Actually have access from 3 roads. 4 of the houses access from Buck Creek Drive, which we're asking for today. 1 house accesses from Creamery Road, and 1 house accesses from Yardley Newtown Road.
Okay.
So just to be clear, so for today, everything's been approved. We're just asking now for the new entrance?
No, that entrance has always been on the plan.
Okay.
We're asking to now put it in a position that I can convey it over.
Okay.
That's the only piece of my land that's being conveyed.
Gotcha.
Because Mr. Katzoff's lot is not part of this development, but it's required to provide that access onto 1556's land. This needs to be conveyed over to them.
Can I just correct? It's 1566.
I apologize.
It's okay. You're not the first one.
Any other questions from members of the board?
Well, I wasn't here in 2023 when you approved the original thing. The only question I have is, you said one of the lots will have access to Creamery Road? Yes. Will they be right on Creamery Road, the house, or do they have to go through someone else's driveway or something?
No, the driveway will come off of Creamery Road, but the house will be way back into it'll be a very long driveway to a brand-new house.
And where will that driveway be in relation to?
There's a house there now that we own that'll come down. So
Oh, a house on Creamery that'll come
that'll
down?
come down,
Okay.
and nothing will be built. It'll just be the driveway to a new home further on the property.
Okay, and is it shown on there?
Yeah. Mind if I get up?
Take the microphone with you? Yeah, thank you.
Sorry. So this is the house right here, and this is the property, and the driveway to the new house will come, this house will come down, and a new driveway will be created to a house that will sit right here. And this house will come down as well, and they're brand-new houses. It'll be one of the 6 houses.
I see.
And then the 7th house will come in off of this driveway right here, which will sit back in here. So those are 2, and there's 4 brand-new houses off of the cul-de-sac coming off of Buck Creek Drive. That's what's been approved at this point.
Nothing is changing.
We're not really asking for any
Right.
changes to the plan.
I don't have anything else.
I'm good as long as our board supervisor. Everything was good. I know they said it was approved. Previous plans.
October of 2023,
Okay.
final subdivision.
Is there any public comment on this?
We have someone named Mark online for public comment. We'll bring him in shortly.
Okay, if you could bring him in.
Hello, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
I see that.
Okay, great. Thank you very much for,
If you could identify yourself, please.
great. I just wanted to clarify.
Wait,
I
Hold
was
hold
one of the
it. Could you identify yourself, please?
Oh, yes. Yeah, sorry. My name is Mark Keller. I'm one of the parcel owners that received a recent letter about this lot line change. So that's why I'm here to clarify a point. I'm actually the owner of the parcel number 2008, what is it, 007, looking at the map, along Yardley, Newtown Road. So just to clarify, and looking at the plans that you were just shown, can you be a little, can you explain where the new residential lots are being put? Because I wasn't sure about what's pink on the map, and then it looks like there's the large undeveloped area in the directly north of the homes on Yardley Newtown Road, and I wasn't sure if that's where the new properties are planned to be put.
Dan, can you pull up the map, I guess? Yeah.
That'd be great. Thanks.
Of the proposed subdivision or the?
Pull up the map. I think the map with the last one you had
Sure.
up.
1 second.
Dan, if you have it handy, the actual approved plan might, I don't know if that was actually,
I think he was confused by the purple in the right hand.
None of the lots will be behind this house.
Do you want to say that in the mic?
None of the new houses will be behind. If I'm right, his house is one of those on the bottom of the run there, and none of the new houses will be behind his house. They'll all be to the left and to the far back.
Do you
Well, that-
have the approved plan on?
I would have to look 1 second.
Show 'em that.
Oh, okay. Oh, so to the,
if it's helpful, I can point it out on this version of the plan, but if possible, we can pull up the approved actual land development plan, but
Do we know where his house is that he's commenting on?
I think did he say 07? Yes. Okay, then he is right.
yes,
In this location. I don't know if he can see me.
yes.
Okay, does it help the point? So the lots that are going to be developed, I believe there's going to be 3 in this area,
Four.
4 in this area. There'll be a 5th in this area, and a 6th in this area.
Right, but in the back, not up near his property.
That's right, and he's over here.
Right. All that land behind him will be part of my house.
Okay.
And, okay, and the land that's part of your house, that's remaining undeveloped land?
Yes.
You had commented that that's your house. Your house will be, you're building a new house there, or you have an existing house?
No, I own
Okay.
that Mansion House Farm, the 1713
Okay.
old farmhouse. Well, all that's doing is adding more, we'll add some more land to our property. But all the new houses will be to the rear or to the left of where he is.
Okay.
Sir, does that answer your question?
Yeah, so basically the undeveloped land. Yes, it does. I guess it was a little hard to understand what he meant by like to the left of behind our house.
There's nothing will be built behind your house at all.
Okay. Oh, so the new homes are basically farther north than that area behind our house.
Right. Four come off of Buck Creek Drive. One comes off of the driveway that exists now at 1566, and one comes off of Creamery Road, which is completely opposite of where you are.
Okay. All right. I appreciate that clarification.
Okay. Thank you. Any other public comment online? Okay. Doesn't appear to be the case. So someone want to make a motion about this lot line
Can make a motion
to
to approve the
lot line change?
line change.
Yes.
And if I might request, I did request orally, the comments included in the engineer's letter today be included as a waiver due to the fact that that information is provided in the recorded plan.
I would note that, not to be super technical, but to be super technical, some of the items were certifications that will be required to be added to the plans. And the other thing that I would comment on would be the air of closure. I don't know if that was something that was included in the original approval, but my recommendation would be to have the air of closure report as well, just to make sure there's no issues with any of the boundaries on the site. There's a requirement for, yeah.
Yeah, I should specify, just, the comments that were addressed in the recorded plan, I'd ask for a waiver of those,
Yeah.
but the certifications and the report, certainly, there's no issue there.
No, that's fine. I mean, the status of this project now is we're still waiting on sewer.
Sorry.
So those things that are included in the final subdivision plans can be waivers. Everything else will be will complies.
Correct.
And that's agreed to? Yes.
We'll add that to the motion, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we'll call a question. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And the motion passes 3-0. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your
Thank
time.
you.
Okay, our next item on the agenda is Farms Edge at Shady Brook Access Roadway.
Yeah, do you mind? Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening, Ed. For the record, could you say who you are? Thank you.
I'm Ed Murphy, here tonight to my left with Joe Morrissey, who is a principal of Fox Lane Homes, and it is Fox Lane that has presented the land development plan that is in front of the Planning Commission for consideration. We can all admit that the land development plan itself is somewhat unusual in that it doesn't contemplate any lots. All it is an access driveway. And it is, as Joe will explain in a minute, an access driveway that runs from a point of intersection that's proposed with Township Line Road back across a portion of the Fleming Farm to reach a project within the Middletown Township limits of the Fleming Farm that Joe, on behalf of Fox Lane, received approval for last year. We will go through that first, but I want you to be aware that based on conversations we've had with the township staff, since the land development plan that I just provided an overview with was submitted, we've discussed an alternate arrangement that is, I believe, preferred by your traffic consultant and the township staff, which we will also review. The issue, if we're going to focus on the alternate preferred plan, is that in order to implement that plan, it would require some specific items of zoning relief from the lower Makefield ordinances that deal with its location in one spot adjacent to a man-made irrigation pond on the Fleming farm, which we will describe in detail, both pictorially and in terms of the relief. So that's the big picture of what's happening here tonight. But first, I think we'll let Joe sort of walk everybody through the circumstances that have given rise to this and the request to provide an access to Township Line Road, whether it's in the location depicted on the current land development plan or the alternate that we're also going to review.
Perfect. Thanks, Ed. If it's okay, I was just going to go up to the.
Absolutely.
Take that microphone.
So as Ed said, my name is Joe Morsi. I'm one of the principals of Fox Lane Homes. I'm a local, live in Chester County, but have an office in Fort Washington. Just a little bit of background on Fox Lane. We started in 2017. I've been in the building industry for probably a little over 30 years, but we specialize in kind of a semi-custom, you know, if Toll Brothers is here, we're kind of a level above that. If Zavetta is a super high-end, we're kind of right in the middle between it. So we have some small neighborhoods, we have some big neighborhoods. We let people come in and customize and kind of do, you know, anything from, you know, 10-foot basements to golf simulators to elevators to swimming pools to spas to, you know, switch homes from 4 bedrooms to 5 bedrooms. So we try to cater to that kind of semi-custom customer that wants to come out and design specifically their home. So with that, if you don't mind, I'm gonna actually have you go ahead one more just to make it come across okay. So this is what we're calling Farm's Edge at Shady Brook. Township Line Road right here, Stony Hill right here, the 777 building is right here. The active part of Shady Brook Farm is all through here. And then we're under agreement to do the 53 acres in just the Middletown Township part of the Shady Brook Farms. The expectation for the Flemings is that they're going to shrink the size of the farm, make it more of an agritainment. The light show won't be a drive-through. It'd be more of a kind of a walk-through, probably a lot of the stuff that you guys have already kind of seen or heard about. So from that standpoint, just to kind of give you kind of the overview of kind of where we're at, I'm going to have you go back one more or two more real quick, if you don't mind, Dan. So taking what you saw there and kind of blowing this up, we have 129 homes in here. It was originally kind of a by right zoning. We sat down with Middletown Township, and when we switched it to an active adult plan, what it allowed us to do is give a lot more open space. The impervious actually went down. The building coverage actually went down from the by right plan. And we came through, we did kind of singles and twins up top, and then carriages down below. It's going to have a clubhouse, swimming pool, a couple pickleball courts, a really nice trail system all the way through the neighborhood and potentially tying out into the kind of Silver Lake neighborhood on the Middletown Township side. A lot of open space and meadows as you always kind of came through. And one of the big things is what we're calling the Eco Park, which is the aeration pond that the Flemings have had for a long time. Kind of a man-made pond. We want this to be the focal point of the neighborhood as you drive through. If I had to guess, probably 90% of it is in Lower Makefield Township, and then there's a sliver on the Middletown Township side. So just to kind of give you an overview of kind of where everything is, this is the Villas of Shady Brook, which is the quad neighborhood that's been around for about 20 or 25 years. And then Silver Lake is everything through here, both in Middletown Township. And then the 777 building, as you come down this way, would, you know, also in Lower Makefield Township, but kind of abuts us on the other side. Do you mind going one? And what Ed had said is when we're looking for access off it, there was an opportunity to do an access road along the side of 777 building and then put you out on kind of Township Line right here. The problem with that is the road in the proximity to the Villas of Shady Brook and where the road would come to the backyards of the Villa of Shady Brook would have been definitely awkward for those neighbors as those cars kind of, you know, entered and kind of left the neighborhood kind of through here. Our thought was option one was potentially to do an access road along 777. The Flemings have kind of access road here right now that goes out onto Township Line Road. But this was kind of one other option that we thought that we could put on the property to get us out onto Township Line Road and give us a little separation from the villas of Shady Brook. Option number 2, which is what in the Pannoni letter they had recommended, if you wouldn't mind fast forwarding one more, was to line this road up with Stony Hill coming this way, which obviously makes a much cleaner kind of roadway as you kind of come up through here. I know talking to the engineers from a stacking standpoint, to have a nice kind of straight road kind of going through here that turns along the eco pond and then comes into the neighborhood, we thought would look and feel pretty good. At the very end, I'll kind of show you of how Shady Brook could potentially feel in this area when it's all said and done. But from that standpoint, I know the Envision Land Use and the DeLucas are potentially talking to the township planner about what could potentially happen in this property. Fox Lane is not part of this part of the property. We're only part of this, but obviously we're kind of taking the lead of trying to get the access road out onto Township Line Road. Yeah, if you don't mind, yep, one farther. So what we tried to do was to kind of give you kind of an overview of the way the farm looks today. And I know most of you know this area pretty well, but Stony Hill, Township Line Road through here, parking lot of the 777 building. This is where Shady Brook has access out here now. So just kind of gives you an overview. Based on the Pannoni letter, if you could kind of picture it, the road would kind of come through here. To be able to get the stacking to work, you'd kind of have it about this long here, and then you kind of turn it left to kind of come down through here to kind of get through the roundabout. The wetlands area that Ed had kind of referenced would be kind of this little bit of an area here, which at the end I'll kind of show you a blow up just so you can kind of see it a little bit closer. But just to kind of give an overview of specifically the area that we're kind of discussing.
Can you give us option 1 and option 2, I guess, because you said there was a second option?
Yeah, so option number 2 was, and I won't draw it perfectly, would be almost kind of putting the road down here, coming down along 777, and then coming up, and then out to Township Line this way. And the thought is it's got a little bit of a swirl to it, just to be able to get like kind of straight on as it comes out to Township Line this way. So that would be potentially option 1, and that's the plan that we submitted to the Planning Commission, to the township. And then option number 2, which is what Pannoni had said they would recommend, would be taking Stony Hill this way and then coming down along the eco pond this way. So obviously this is kind of a man-made, aeration pond now. Doesn't look great, doesn't feel great. There's a lot of other stuff that's kind of still happening here that would be part of the cleanup and how we'd want this to look when it's all said and done. But our expectation is you drive through here and then you come down here is between the landscaping, between the eco pond, by the time you get to the trail, it should feel really, really nice. So the goal would be to be able to clean up that whole area. I know meeting with some township and then county officials in different places with the new development going over here, with the Wegmans, the restaurants, we had envisioned at some point that you could, get from here into the Shady Brook potentially into the Farm's Edge into Silver Lake, and then Silver Lake into Core Creek. And it's not that hard. We spent a couple hours with the Parks and Rec people from Middletown Township and just looked at all the different ways we can connect it, and you could do some really nice things, between tying in Silver Lake to Township Park, and then coming up through Farm's Edge into Shady Brook, and then potentially into the Wegmans, as far as connecting, all that all the way back to Core Creek, which I think would be kind of a nice aesthetic. So I gave you a couple of different angles here. Do you mind fast forwarding one more? This is just kind of looking Stony Hill, Township Line here, kind of the main entrance as you come into to Shady Brook over here, but kind of the same thing. Option A with the road would be kind of coming down through here and then circling around, or option 2 would be road coming up here and then down this way and then through. And then the creek, as it kind of runs all the way through here, so most of this is staying, and then there'll be a nice trail that kind of takes you all the way through here. So whether there's somebody at Silver Lake or the Villas of Shady Brook, or anybody that want to come up with whatever ends up happening, with Shady Brook, or with anything, the restaurants, or walk into Wegmans, you should be able to have some nice access to be able to get to that. And then I think I might have one last photo. So kind of the same thing, looking at it, 777 building here, Villas of Shady Brook, the quads, Silver Lake all the way through here, and then you kind of see the main part of Shady Brook as you kind of come up. So you kind of envision, township line back here, kind of coming up this way, and then if you kind of picture the view of the boulevard kind of coming through here, roundabout here, then into the neighborhood, and really having this be a really pretty vista as you kind of come through there. Okay.
I'm confused.
This is, we use a company called Socorro Wells. Socorro Wells was the landscape architect that did Pennswood, which is the one over by St. Mary's in the George School, which is kind of renowned for their stormwater, the kind of the prairies, the trailways. We had them look at kind of this eco park and figured out, like, hey, how do we tie this together with the thought process of, besides just connecting everything between all the different neighborhoods, but also having like a really kind of fun place, whether you're going to take your dog out to walk, or kids after school, or however you want to do it. We just thought we could make this really special and a really nice, just kind of the thought of being able to drive through it or walk through it and just set the stage for everything else behind it. Do you mind forward one more? When we kind of talked about what Ed had, kind of referenced at the beginning, the relief that we would need from the township / the zoning hearing board, this is kind of a little bit of kind of that man-made waterway that came through here. So we would need some relief here. Rob Cunningham from Holmes Cunningham, our engineer, is also here, so he could kind of speak to the specific relief if you guys have questions on that. But just to kind of give you the general idea, so ponds, everything here, it's just the area here that we would need some relief from. And going forward one more. And then the last slide, also Eco Park here, of what the kind of Shady Brook Farm could be when it's all said and done, which is a smaller, size than obviously what it is now. But just kind of give you an idea of kind of how it all sits up. I don't think anything's kind of finalized with that right now. And then obviously nothing on the Lower Make side has been finalized, but the thought process is it's going to get smaller, more walkable, more what the Flemings would call agri-tainment, and then figure out a way to make it as walkable as possible. That's pretty much everything on my list as far as stuff to talk about, unless there's specific questions you want me to run through.
So is the actual development, I guess, in Middletown Township, and then we're just approving the roadway? The access?
The Middletown Township subdivision that is referenced on those plans was approved last year. The access, obviously, you control if it's going to be through Lower Makefield. That's the reason the plan's gotten submitted now, is to review the merit of that and to decide whether or not that's an appropriate access.
But all 129 homes are in Middletown Township.
You had mentioned there was some access in Middletown, or in this plan, right? And could you show us where that is?
Yeah. You want to scroll back maybe to the very first one, or maybe the second one? You mind going up one more? Yeah. So the potential, the Flemings own a sliver of ground that goes down here and then just ties into township line right here. At this point, we're not showing that as a potential access, only because of where it let out at township line compared to potentially going out here and what it would do to these residents down here. We just thought it probably wasn't worth trying to do that. And, when we spent a lot of time, we've probably been dealing with this almost close to 2 years, but sitting down with some different residents on the Villas of Shady Brook and then Silver Lake. one of the first things that came up was just access, and like I said, if a road there right up against their property would, in their homes and outdoor living and all that stuff would have been pretty close. So that's why we decided to try to go this route.
And there's no access point in the back, sort of to the left of that.
So there's a emergency access that'll go through Silver Lake right here, but just an emergency access. And right now, we've been kind of going back and forth between an emergency access here or potentially doing something a little farther down here. Because the thought process is if we needed two accesses, Dan, do you mind going up one more? We thought that you could potentially have one here and then a second emergency access, which is where the access road is along 777 building right now. You could potentially do two accesses right there if you needed it.
I guess question for Maureen. What obligation does Lower Makefield have to give this project in Middletown Township access to Township Line Road?
None. I believe that the approval was given with the understanding and condition that it was determined, it was dependent upon the approval by Lower Makefield Township as to access.
Okay.
Am I correct? That is correct?
Yeah.
Okay,
The
yes.
approval was subject to any approvals needed from any other adjacent municipality.
The existing driveway that runs by 777, could you just,
Yep, right here.
that doesn't look to me too close. How far is that away from, say, that corner house there?
You're talking about any of these here?
No, I thought you said that you didn't want to do it that way because of the,
No,
not because of your development, but because of the one next to it.
Sorry, yeah. So there was, the Flemings own some property along here that puts you out on Township Line at this point. And that's the one, if you look at these homes here, it kind of comes around and goes like here. So you have the road right here, which would kind of be right along the quads this way. But no, if we did the road here, it wouldn't have any effect on the villas of Shady Brook.
So is that straight line, was that your original proposal?
Right here?
Yeah.
This is actually just showing the property line of what the Flemings own, and then the 777. What we had is, we're showing a potential emergency access this way. We haven't drawn anything in here just yet, but when we're kind of going through the planning and thinking through it, we just gave ourselves an option that could be a potential way, whether it's an emergency access or something different, kind of coming out here. But the way the angle, and obviously I'm not a traffic engineer, doing a road straight out here probably isn't likely. You'd probably have to put some kind of curve in it, which is what they showed in that kind of access, that road, what we call Road A. A little bit of a curve in here to get to Township Line Road on this side.
So if that version, which was the second version of the road, were to be approved, and I understand you're not Shady Brook, but what would be envisioned ultimately from the access road down to 77? Do you know what
Right here?
Yes.
I think the plan is, and Ed could probably talk about it better than I can, but the Envision Land Use, kind of DeLuca team that controls that, I think is going to meet with the new township planner to kind of discuss that area, to figure out what the township might want to see there. So I think it's a little bit of a blank space. Ultimately, I think the original thought was to try to do something similar to what was across the street with the Wegmans and the retail and some of that. But I think the thought is they were going to meet with the township planner to see what
I think that's
the
right.
township
I
wanted.
think at some point, as that balance of the site, Shady Brook gets developed as per a master plan or some type of more comprehensive development, it's probably going to look similar to what exists across the street on the east side of Township Line. But that has yet to be fleshed out or proposed.
So I guess my question is that, so Middletown Township is getting all the benefits from obviously the homes being there and the taxes probably, so what does, I guess, Lower Makefield get? for approving this?
We've always told the staff that your traffic impact fee, even though there's no homes in Lower Makefield, we would agree to pay all the applicable fees that are associated with the development had it been in Lower Makefield, so.
And I know when we did just the fiscal analysis of it, obviously it is a nice win for the active adult compared to the market rate singles for Bucks County. Obviously, the school district, what doesn't affect Lower Make, but for Bucks County, it's a nice win for them too.
Is your development, proposed development, 55 and older?
Yes.
It is,
Yep.
okay.
So it's 55 and over, no school-age kids. It'll have an HOA.
Will the HOA own the interior roads?
Correct.
Correct, yeah. And
So
all
the
open
portion,
space.
will they also own what's in Lower Makefield, or how does that, or would that have to be a Lower Makefield public street?
Yeah, like, would that road be dedicated to the township? Or-
So I think what we would typically do with every neighborhood, it's township's choice. So if the township said they wanted it and wanted it dedicated, we'd be okay with that. And if they said, hey, no, we don't, with whatever ends up happening here, HOA or however they decided, we'd be open either way, whatever the township wanted.
I'm assuming it would be the latter, but I don't want to speak for Public Works and them.
We've done it both ways.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, as you know, for example, Wright, those are all privately owned, internal roads.
It's your choice. I mean,
it's
we.
our choice.
If the township ultimately determines they want to own and maintain it, fine. If they want the applicant to do it, the applicant will do it.
I would assume the applicant in this case. The township probably wouldn't want responsibility of snow plowing and have responsibility for the road versus,
I wouldn't think they would.
yeah.
I mean, you do get a benefit from having public roads. You get liquid fuel dollars, et cetera. So there are some benefits of having public roads, but that really, I don't think it's a decision that we can make right now, but it will be at the township can decide whether or not they wanted public or private.
But if it was, how would private work? How would private even work there, since it's in Lower Makefield?
Doesn't matter. I mean, we're responsible for whether it's in Newtown, Lower Make, or Middletown.
The homeowners association documents would dictate that. We would be able to
would
review
dictate,
those and
okay.
have input into those because we are part of the plan.
I mean, it would be built to Lower Makefield Township specs in terms of the design and your ordinance and all that. So you're going to get a fully compliant roadway. It's just, my suspicion is, we will be the ones to own and maintain it.
Have you had any discussions with PennDOT as far, well, it's probably premature, but I would think PennDOT would prefer to have that road so that it's a four-way intersection at Stony Hill
No
and
doubt.
Township Line.
And that's the
Wouldn't that
township
be
staff. And
ordinarily be their preference?
yeah, and the township staff and traffic consultant have already recommended that.
I personally would feel a lot better about either option A or B if we knew how the rest of that parcel was going to be developed. And I understand you're not involved with that, but that's a township issue, and it's how best to configure the road really depends on the intended purpose of the rest of that property, and you're kind of in the dark here unless there's been more conversations between the township and the planning.
So just for context, there is a steering committee. So the SR 332 Stony Hill Road and Edgewood Village Historic District Integrated Master Plan Steering Committee. I'll take a breath after saying that. But yeah, so Michael Baker was hired by the township as a consultant. They've engaged with a lot of stakeholders already. We had our first meeting last week or 2 weeks ago. But yeah, so we've started the process of kind of planning that parcel.
Can you tell us on this map what area you would look at for what you just talked about, the
Yeah.
planning for the,
So it would be the part of the parcel that's the part of the Shady Brook parcel that's within Lower Makefield Township. They're also kind of looking at, if you go down Stony Hill Road, that area in general for the Edgewood Historic District.
I think to Tony's question, assuming that regardless of what happens, that the recommendation is going to be to create a four-way or four-leg intersection at Township Line and Stony Hill, I think the road geometry that we proposed to create that fourth leg is, and whether Kyle knows or Matt Johnson from Pannoni knows, it is logical that that is going to have to be the length of the leg of the fourth leg to meet everybody's standards. So we just followed what we thought was the logical requirement for the leg of the, and sight distance, et cetera, and then just swung around the pond to connect to the eco park, if you will. So I think we've probably backed into the most logical, efficient way of the road so that that sort of creates an island of that property in the middle of it that remains to be developed. But I think that's probably the most logical, efficient way, especially when you look at what the Fleming family wants to retain as part of Shady Brook, to incorporate that one sketch, the eco park with the balance of Shady Brook.
My concern with that approach, although I hear what you're saying and it makes a lot of sense, but,
Right.
but the concern with that is that right now the main entrance to Shady Brook is higher up across from the Wegmans entrance right there. And if, as part of the redevelopment of the remaining parcel, the Flemings decided, okay, they don't want that to be the main entrance to Shady Brook. They want that entrance to be the main entrance to Shady Brook. They could reroute into that entrance, and that intersection is probably not equipped to handle that additional traffic.
I'm not sure I follow that, Tony, but
So right now, that's right up there where he's pointing.
Yeah, which is where the,
Joe's
going to the
pointing.
apartments across the street.
Right.
Right.
That's the main entrance right now to Shady Brook. If, as part of the redevelopment of the remainder of the property, the Flemings decided, okay, they don't really want to use that as the main entrance anymore. They want to use what is now that entrance right there. That intersection is probably not equipped to handle that volume. Don't we need to build in terms of any kind of recommendations
we
here?
would go to the next slide that shows how Shady Brook envisions its retained portion. Dan, go the other way. One more.
Actually, the very
I
left.
thought there was a colored render.
It doesn't show the road.
Yeah, but it
You
shows.
actually bring up a really good
One
point.
more, Dan.
Yeah.
No, one more.
Go
That
back.
one.
Yeah. So this is, it doesn't show a great kind of how they.
That shows,
Yeah.
that shows the layout, the preferred approach of the Fleming family for what they would retain. So to Tony's question about that becoming by default the main entrance, that's not going to happen because that was never the orientation that
So that's not
Fleming
what they're
family
envisioning
wants.
at the moment.
Huh?
That's not what they're envisioning at the moment.
Right, that is what the Fleming family is envisioning being the retained portion of what they have, and the access clearly is further
Yeah.
north on Township Line.
So in a perfect world, do you mind going back to one of the pond and just so you could kind of see the existing real quick? Back one more. Hold on one second. One more. Yeah, so to your question, this is the main entrance going into the apartments now. Make the left to go to the Wegmans. Not speaking for the Flemings, but I think the expectation is if all this kind of goes through and then whatever ended up happening to the Lower Make side once they meet with the planner and whatever Lower Make decides to do, I think in a perfect world, you'd have the one going this way, and then you'd have this separate entrance, which would be Shady Brook specific, and then anything obviously kind of north of the site. Jefferson owns that piece up here. So that's the thought, kind of to your thought, but which goes into the big picture, what happens with all this? Because that, in a perfect world, just from a planning standpoint, one entrance here would make sense.
But just as a reminder, I mean, again, there is a planner that's hired, and the township's actively involved in looking at the whole site in addition to those sites that were mentioned. So even though there was reference or representation that this is what the Flemings envision or like, those are not by right plans by any means. They don't have the right to do what they're envisioning right now. So, there are so many options that are available right now and out there, and nothing, not even close to being confirmed.
Right. I mean, when Dan Grenier first brought this up, I got the impression this was going to be kind of a long process. I don't know how long it's going to be, and it's for an extensive area, right? It's
Correct.
all along township line. And the other aspect of that, too, is tying things together, making it walkable. So then we're talking about sidewalks. So I don't know if our sidewalks contemplated.
Yeah, the thought of the connectivity and the walkable, it would be a pretty kind of cool lifestyle between being able to walk from anything from Middletown Township, kind of south of 777, and then kind of west of that through Farm's Edge, through Shady Brook, across the street, into the lower Make side, and then literally to the Wegmans or the restaurants and everything that you over there. And like I said, once you get into the Middletown Township, getting to Court Creek Park from there isn't hard. Getting to Middletown Township Park from there isn't hard. So the connectivity is going to be pretty special. And even being able to walk up to the restaurants, grab coffee in the morning, grab bagel in the morning, it should be a pretty kind of like inviting lifestyle.
The picture that had the light green, could you bring that back, the one that, no, it had the development, but then you put light green up
Oh, yeah, which is towards the front.
towards the front, I think. Yeah, that one. Okay, the area in light green. Could you just describe that area? Who owns it?
Shady Brook.
Yeah, Shady Brook.
Currently, Shady Brook owns it.
Yeah.
But,
Envision land use is under agreement, and that's what they're talking to the township planner.
okay, is that all of what would be left of Shady Brook?
The center here, and then Shady Brook also owns a portion in here, which is still Newtown Township, that you
Okay.
can use for parking and some of the other stuff. The zone
Ginny, if you're thinking about the further piece north, that's Jefferson. Up
Right, I'm
Bypass,
just
that's north of-
trying to figure what's going to be left of.
Jefferson piece isn't shown there.
Right.
This isn't a perfect, but this is a pretty good approximation of what Shady Brook would look like within.
Top of the mind, please.
Yeah. Shady Brook, as far as here with buildings, and then some parking and some overflow here on the Newtown side of the development. This is Holy Family, which controls the ground up here, and then all the area over here. But Shady Brook proper would be this area in here.
You don't know how they would feel about that bottom section of the light green being cut off by the road?
The Flemings?
Yeah, or whoever's going to do something with it.
No, I
Would
mean-
that create a problem for them?
If you're asking if the Flemings are supportive of the plan that we're talking about tonight with the access road to Township Line Road, the answer is yes. They are supportive of the plan that's in front of you, either option A or option B
Either
for
one, okay.
access.
Thanks.
Do we have a traffic study yet, based on option A or B?
Yeah, I think plans we submitted, I think, include the report from our traffic consultant.
What's the estimated number of cars per day on weekdays during prime times?
John, I'm sure we do. I don't have them
Yeah.
myself, but if you want
But I will tell you, when we
to
looked at
review
the-
those, we certainly can.
Yeah, when we looked at the active adult versus the market rate singles, it was one additional car every like 5.5 minutes at the main entrance, either coming or going.
Right, but in looking at the Pannoni letter, it says a traffic shall be submitted. So that's why I was like,
I think we did one for Middletown Township. I think because we were going between A and B, I don't think we did one yet for this section. Am I wrong?
Can you, for 55 and older, can you sort of figure 2 cars per, like if there's 129 houses, are you talking 260?
Usually a little bit less. I forget what the exact number, but the expectation is that it's probably closer to like I think it's like 1.63.
Oh, okay.
Because not everybody still has 2 people. So.
But as I'm sure you're aware, that particular roadway has had a significant change in its traffic structure related to the developments that occurred, namely Prickett Preserve. Some of those traffic changes have been a net benefit, and some have been a net negative. And so it's very important for us to understand where things will be made worse, particularly on weekends versus, say, prime times during the day. If 55 older community may not be during the commute times in the mid-morning or late day, which would be positive, but may have higher numbers during weekends and prime times during weekends, which could exacerbate problems that we have seen there, which is why the traffic studies should be pretty robust on that.
Yep. No, we'll
And
definitely
should consider potential future other developments as well.
Sounds good.
I was just going to add, John, that the right-in, right-out in front of Wegmans is universally ignored. Anytime I go up Stony Hill Road, there's maybe 5 cars waiting to make a left into the right-in, right-out only to get into the Wegmans. Just pointing that out. It's just too darn convenient. I think the township's going to have to think about putting some kind of physical barrier there or something.
So we've had some pedestrian issues as it relates to that particular crosswalk area. For folks who are walking in that area, it is something that has been looked at and continues to be examined. I don't know that we have necessarily an answer or fix to that now.
No, I don't think, I was surprised at, I expect every once in a while to see some, but to see like 5 or 6 cars lined up waiting to make a left into a right turn only, it was on a weekend, probably, people going into Wegmans or whatever, but.
Yeah. Additionally, we really haven't seen the completion of the Prickett Preserve development, and so we still have some stuff to sort through in terms of what the full traffic impact is. I think enough stuff is open. I think, I'm sure the apartments are almost fully booked. Wegmans is almost at capacity, I'm sure. There's very little left to open. I mean, there recently was the Paris Baguette, and then obviously Chipotle. But there's still a few other small stuff. But we still have to work through that, and that's part of for those Dan had mentioned, part of the planning exercise, right? Because we have to consider that as it relates to all the other potential discussed but not authorized land development in the area.
So just my personal take on this is that, I prefer option B, not the one that you originally submitted. But I obviously agree that we need a traffic study here, and I'm real concerned about not knowing what else is proposed for that property at this point, knowing that something's going to be proposed real soon, understanding it's not your responsibility, but how far along is that with the township and the various property holders? Any idea? Is there something you can say publicly about that or not?
Well, I think it would be fair to say, and I think all participants are probably would be pleased that the township undertook the planning study separate from letting it grow sort of organically piecemeal. And we are aggressively going at it. It's potential that it's less than 6 months probably I'd have to go look at the current project plan for the planning exercise.
Do you mean like the Gantt chart? Like
Yeah, the Gantt chart.
I think it's a little bit longer than that. I think it's 9 months.
Okay, yeah.
around there. It's definitely longer than 6 months, though.
So, I mean,
We're not privy to any of that, so I'm not sure.
Yeah.
What I'm hearing is the first time I'm hearing some of this stuff.
And Mr. Murphy, obviously, we had a public meeting about that, as
Yeah,
Dan had mentioned.
I know.
So, yeah. I don't want to bias your perspective, and I want you to consider this absent and see what, but your advice, your recommendation is, as you would see fit. I mean, I think, Mr. Chair, you have some great points in terms of considering that in a larger framework.
I think I'm on the same wavelength as you are. Would like to see this. It would be nice to know something about what the rest of it is, what is coming down the pike, the traffic study, how it fits in with the plan for the area.
Was this proposal coming today for an approval, or just,
Yeah, I think ideally, we just wanted to get in front of you and give you a chance to take a look at it. Obviously, we had submitted kind of what we call Road A, and then the review letter came back, and when we met with township staff, they said, hey, maybe line it up with Stony Hill made more sense. So ideally, we just wanted to have kind of that initial conversation and at least get the discussion. And obviously, when the Envision Land Use DeLuca team meets with the township planner, and, obviously, we all talk, and, we'll make sure as we design the road, it works for kind of what Lower Makefield wants and needs, for the future development. So we understand that. We just want to do a really nice development. We want to do it for the township, both Lower Make and Middletown. We want to do it for the Flemings. And I always kind of give it, Fox Lane's only been in business for 2017, but we build in a fair amount of townships. And I think if you reference us to any of the township managers or any of the people there, we have a lot of really happy homeowners. You can look at our Google reviews. The townships like when we build there. Not that anyone ever likes when a builder builds there, but we have a good reputation. We make mistakes, but we communicate really well. If we make a mistake, we fix it, and we kind of go from there. But at the end of it, we build really beautiful neighborhoods. And this one here, even though I know the core part of it that we're building is in Middletown, our residents are going to be shopping and going to the doctor and in Lower Make, and I think it'll be a really nice addition for Lower Make as well. But it's important for us to build beautiful neighborhoods, that we're proud of, and obviously the Flemings are proud of, and hopefully the township.
Sorry, real quick on this screen. So the Gantt chart's about 13 months. So that's roughly the amount of time for planning.
So look, I think we all understand we haven't done this in a vacuum. We've had some discussions with the staff. We thought originally that we would engage the conversation with the township and PennDOT by submitting a driveway opening permit and trigger that. Township felt differently. They wanted us to submit a fully engineered land development plan showing the proposed driveway, which is why we're here tonight. It sounds like, if Tony's sense of the board is correct, that the most you would do is say, if there's going to be a road, it should be lined up appropriately from a planning standpoint with PennDOT and Township to have a four-leg intersection at Township Line and Stony Hill. I think we all would agree on that. The issue is the timing of what happens next, and at this point, none of that's within our control because of the other issue of now the township retaining a planner to look at a bigger picture. We've tried to do that ourselves and have a bigger picture, but until the township decided to hire its own planner, we've been stymied. Hopefully, if whatever is happening, we're enabled to have a seat at that table and talk about it, then we can flesh it out. But rather than burden you with a plan that's pending, I think you should recommend it along in whatever fashion you want, and then we'll deal with the board as and when we can. But it just seems like if the sense is we don't want to make a recommendation other than a location, we don't want to support the plan until we see what's around it, we can't do much either. So, but yet we have a land development plan that's pending that you should act on and move on to the supervisors, I think.
I mean, I agree with you, I'm sorry.
Can't keep it in limbo.
I agree with you. I think I said from the start, the four-way intersection makes sense, but seeing how the land around it is going to be developed, and we don't really know how it's going to be developed, it seems to me likely that they would want to run a road from that road into the light green property and have that be an entrance. And if it's not going to be an entrance, you're going to need some signage out there, particularly since it's going to be at such a high-profile intersection now, saying, you know, no, I don't know, no outlet or something, because people are, you see what I'm saying? They're going to want to, if they're coming from Middletown or whatever, they're going to want to turn in there to get into whatever that developed area is going to be. So that's the only downside of that particular configuration is if you did the other one, it would seem more like a limited just entrance to a senior community and not a main end. Does that make sense?
No, yeah, I understand.
Just as a follow-up to that, if you kept that design with the four-way intersection, but didn't have that road by 777 and made the emergency access point on the back end somewhere into Middletown.
Yeah, it's, so, talking it through with Middletown, this would be kind of the potential, like, almost like an emergency access. Yeah, it wouldn't be crazy to think if this was your main access here, you could have an emergency access, which is the way the plan is now, which is, as of our last kind of conversations with Middletown Township, that's where they'd like to see the emergency access, right here. Because the other thing, it's half emergency access, half trail, that connects you to Silver Lake, that gets you down to Court Creek.
I mean, I would think that because that development is in Middletown Township, they'd want access to it anyway.
For life safety and a lot of different reasons, they'd want access to it, yep.
Maureen, are we on a clock here where we have to make a decision about this?
We are. I don't know when this was, the data was submitted.
You got your,
You turn your mic on, sorry.
Excuse me?
Your mic, sorry.
We are. I'm sorry. We are under, we were on the clock, so to speak. I don't know when this was submitted. Dan, do you have that information?
I can take a look. Need to go into open go.
Submitted December 14, so we're 60 days in,
So we have 30 more days.
right?
Do you think we'll
Plus or
know any
minus.
more? Will
Plus
we
or
know any-
minus, right. We're at February 9th. We've 90 days to act from the date of submission, and the date of submission was stated as December 14th.
Okay, so we have, presumably, we could bring this up at the next, we have the next meeting. But would we know
No.
in
We're not
30
gonna-
days, would we have
We're
any
not.
better idea than we do today?
If I thought we'd have an answer, I would certainly grant the
Right.
time, but I don't think, given this timeline we're on, we're wasting our time here.
So the only other issue, though, is the traffic study, which we don't have.
But even if you had one, Tony, nothing's going to change if we're waiting for the township planner to come
So-
up with his or her bright idea about
But
what's
the
going to happen.
township needs the traffic study ultimately, whether or not, we can make a recommendation to the Board of Supervisors, subject to a traffic study.
Yeah, that would be appropriate.
You know, but
We're just
that's-
not going to,
the
I don't
township
think it's
can't go
worthwhile
ahead
for any
with
of us
this.
to keep coming back here and staring at
No,
each other.
No, but the township can't go ahead with this without having a traffic study.
As much as I like coming here.
You could say that with a little more sincerity.
No, I can't.
So, any other comments from the board? Is there any public comment? Is there any public comment online? No? Okay. If somebody want to make a motion about this?
The motion is to then
It's-
go to the Board of Supervisors with the acknowledgement of a traffic study to be completed.
That could certainly be your recommendation.
Yeah, I mean, I would think we'd want a traffic study. It sounds like if we were going to make a recommendation that the supervisors approve this, that we'd be looking at the option B into the four-way intersection with the emergency access being through Middletown so that Middletown has access to its own residents and that the emergency access isn't through Lower Makefield. And that it's, ideally, I think we'd like to know what's going to happen with the rest of the property, but obviously the municipality's not going to know that at when you have to make a decision about this.
I believe that's a fair assessment, given the fact that the planning committee just met for the first time 2 weeks ago, and it's going to be a process. So I don't think you will know between now and the end of the 90 days what else will be recommended to recommend to the owners.
Would you consider an extension? You're granting the township an extension?
Not tonight, I don't think. Why come
Well-
back here? At some point, we may consider an extension once we start a meaningful dialogue with the township. That's logical at some point. I'd like to know where we're going, so.
Subject to.
Option B. And emergency access through Middletown.
Emergency access to Middletown. And is there something we could put in the motion about, I don't know, consulting with this planning, I don't know what it's called.
Right. The Board of Supervisors
Consider the impact on, I don't know, maybe not, impact is not the right word.
The input of this stakeholders group,
Of the stakeholders group.
whatever it's called. All right. I'll make the motion.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to make a motion. Make a motion that we recommend approval of this Farms Edge at Shady Brook Access Roadway, subject to the following conditions, that the option B, which was described to us tonight verbally, be the plan that's pursued, that it's subject to an acceptable traffic study that has not yet been produced, that emergency access is through Middletown, not through Lower Makefield, and that the Board of Supervisors consider the input of the stakeholders group if and when available. And I'm not sure the actual name of the stakeholders group, but,
It's a mouthful, I won't bore you with that.
okay. I think we all know what we're referring to. So is there a second?
You could just say the steering committee.
I'll second.
Okay. Any comment on the motion? Okay. I'll call the question. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks.
Okay. We'll take a little break.
Yeah, thanks.
We're going to take a 2-minute break. Our last item is the renewable energy ordinance, which has been before us several times already and is now back, I think, for the third or fourth time.
Yep. I can kind of take it from here, Tony, if you don't mind. So we thank you for reviewing it last time. The renewable energy ordinance is before you again. We incorporated a lot of the comments that you all kind of made. I can just kind of run through them really quickly. There's stuff related to fire code and installation oversight, fire marshal review and clearance clarification, emergency disconnects and system labeling, inspections and ongoing safety. There were some comments for creating unnecessary roadblocks for homeowners, fencing standards, some of Ms. Torbert's concerns for wind energy systems, public notice and neighbor input, outdoor furnaces, Tony's concerns about emerging wind technologies, and then just kind of some admin stuff. And then Maureen and Curtin and Hefner staff also reviewed it and kind of put it in ordinance form. Thank you for the quick turnaround. And then, they deleted some of the sections that weren't really relevant based off of feedback. Added a few sections, adding the solar definitions to the general definitions. Added a section for principal solar energy systems. And just some other kind of admin stuff to kind of make it look ready for adoption if you do wish to recommend it for approval.
Right, and just to echo what Dan said, we did all of what he stated, all of the above. We took into consideration comments from our last conversation, the comments from Tim Chamberlain, and he had I think a 2-page letter with details. So we incorporated all of those changes and moved things around so that they read properly and, again, put it in ordinance form. So we are comfortable with the fact that all of the comments and requested changes that this board had are incorporated in here, in what's we're considering the final version in front of you this evening.
Thank you. Does anybody have any comments about the updated draft that we've received?
From what I can see, all the changes have been made, kind of the recommendation that this board had.
And you dropped
Over
the
numerous
bonus idea, right? That's dropped out.
Which one, sorry?
The bonus
Yes.
idea is
Yep.
dropped out, right? Yeah.
Yep.
I read through it this afternoon and
Yep.
it looked like, and the fire and emergency are happy with, I mean, you incorporated all of what they need to keep, so it's safe, so.
Correct, yeah,
The solar is.
Yep, I spoke to Tim Chamberlain a lot about this. It incorporates a lot of his comments and aligns with firefighter safety concerns. So we also talked to some of his staff. The new update, he seemed fine with.
And apologies, but it's just the way how things sort of progressed from where we started to where we ended up. But if you looked at, and I think you have in front of you, the version that was in front of you before, Dan had incorporated a number of changes. I can point those out, but I don't want to bore you with all the details exactly where they are. But all the changes were incorporated into the new version in what we're considering the correct locations. But yes, I can, if you looked at Tim Chamberlain's letter, for instance, I can go through it and show you exactly where those changes were incorporated in the final version.
Changes look fine.
I look forward to the
No,
first,
the changes look fine.
Right. Yeah. TJ's not an Aptos fan.
The changes looked fine, to be on the record.
All right.
9 o'clock, almost.
Yes, it's a long day already. Okay. Any other comments, Jenny?
no, I was just going to say, I look forward to the first time we have, what is it, a conditional use with
Yeah.
2 people with windmills. The fighting windmills.
Yeah, you might want to play the lottery that day.
Okay, does someone want to make a motion about this ordinance?
I'll make a motion that we approve the, hold on a second. The renewable energy ordinance.
Yes. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And the motion is approved. Lastly, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
And there's a second right there. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.